Now the very important thing, guys, let's pay attention here. What we are going to do. So we are going to create user, right? If we want to create a security, so security should be aligned as per the requirement. It should not be same to all, right? It cannot be same to all. So let's say, just pay attention to this statement. So here, so let's say this is the user, let's say this is Akshay, right? And this is me, and this is Priyanka. So they are joining the company, and so this permission is given to all of them, right? Before I go into this, let's understand one thing, right? Let's understand one thing. Bear with me just a sec. Yeah. Akshay, let's take an example, okay? So Akshay, let's say you got 20,000 rupees from your father or yourself, okay?
Okay.
And you go to the market to buy, goods. Let's say clothes, attires and all, right? Or some other
Right.
things. So you kept 20,000 rupees in your pocket, and then you go to the market, and then I am sitting corner of the street as a con, and I stolen your money.
Right.
Okay, this is the first thing. The another thing is that you plan to again go to the market, and this time you did not put all the money in a one pocket. Rather, you divided it into the 4 pieces, 5,000 rupees each, and put it in your different pockets. Again, I am sitting on the corner of the street, and I stolen your money. But this time only one pocket that I could able to, right?
Right.
So which option is good? In ideal case, both options are not good, but which one is comparatively good?
Second one.
Second one. Why second one?
Because we have divided the amount into 4 parts.
It's not divided. It's because that if anything goes wrong, that particular section has been impacted. Not everything, right?
Right.
So the thing is that the ID you are using till now, that is called root ID. Okay.
Right.
And that root ID has a access of everything. Example, if I use my ID, I can do anything in this whole console, right?
Right.
If I can do anything in this whole console, means if my ID got stolen, means anybody can do anything.
Right. Yes.
So it is better that I should use this, or I should create a different admin accounts and then log in using that. So by chance, if that only admin account is got stolen, that is only particular component is impacted, right?
Right.
Are you getting, guys? This is very important. So AWS says that you should not use your root account first. Even if you are using, then you should implement MFA, and the password should be very strong. Yes, Priyanka, yeah. Okay, password should be very strong. Are you getting it?
Yes.
So the thing is that this is one thing. The another thing is that, so let's say I joined, you joined, let's say Akshay joined the company, I joined the company, Priyanka joined the company, and Akshay has given the permission EC2 admin, means he can do anything with the EC2. I have given S3, right? Priyanka is given CloudFormation. So let's say Priyanka resigned the company, so Priyanka is gone. Along with that, this policy that is aligned to her, that is also absolute now, right? Is gone. Are you getting? This policy is gone. If somebody else join in later than in absence of Priyanka, So let's say X person joined. In that case, I need to create a policy again. Every time that somebody joining or leaving, I have to work on the impact, right? And that's what the bigger gap is over here. So can you create this way? Yes, you can create this way, but this is the ideal process? No. You should not do all this homework. Rather, the process should be like this. Let's say Akshay joined, Priyanka joined, right? Or let's say Sumit joined, example. Okay. So they should not directly give the permission to the policy, rather group should be created. Group should be created. And here the policy should be there. So these are the groups and these are the policies. And the policies or permission means this is EC2 admin, right? This is to full access. This is EC2 read only access. This is S3 full access. So let's say I have given this, attached this permission to this group, right? I have attached this permission to this group. I have attached this permission to this group also and this group also. So this guy has EC2 read only access plus S3 full access, and this guy has only S3 full access, right? Are you getting what I am trying to say?
Yes.
So in this case, let's say again take an example, Priyanka resigned. In this case, I do not need to touch anything, right? Because this group is assigned to the multiple people. And if this group is Priyanka is gone, no problem. Somebody else join tomorrow, X person join, I will attach to this group, right? Because my permission is not impacting, my process is not impacting. Or tomorrow, let's say Priyanka is got promoted, then she wants only read only access, right? Why she wants Priyanka become a project manager? So why she wants a full permission? She should have read only, right? So I will remove this S3 and the another group that is being created for S3 read only. I will create a permission, I will create a group, and I will attach this permission to the group and attach to the Priyanka and remove this S3 full access, right? So in this case, it's not impacting the permission, it's not impacting the group, rather just a user is coming and going, we are attaching to the particular group, and it's a very simple way. Okay, you got it, guys? Akshay, you understood? Guys, I have just taken the Akshay as a for the dialogue purpose, right? If you are interested, I can unmute you also, but background noise disturbs a lot. That's the reason I just taken Akshay. Okay. So let's create it now. So this is the user. I delete this user, whatever is created earlier. Okay. Yes, I'll show you, Kiran. Yes. So add user, let's say test user, and you can create multiple users, by the way. Okay, and you can assign a access key and secret key, or you can create a console ID, or both. So the password is, let's say, A B C D E F. Okay, and user, and I am assigning one policy that this user has to change the policy as and when he logins, right? So this is the one policy, and click next. So here, Kiran, you asked, can we copy the policy permissions? Yes, we can copy. You can see it here. You can attach the policy directly also here, or you can add to the group directly, right? So I'm just creating the policy, right? I'm attaching the policy as of now. So I have taken the existing policy, and here I have taken EC2 read only, EC2 read only, right? So I check where is the EC2 read only. Can you see guys anywhere? EC2 container, EC2 role, EC2, right? So this is the, yeah, this is the read only permission, right? So I have taken this policy, okay, and I can define the boundaries also. Create user without binary or maximum user permission, how many times he can log in. So I assign tag review, right? And review whatever I assigned. I have assigned two policies. The one is that he should only access EC2 read only. He cannot create the EC2, right, and delete the EC2, only view the EC2. And here the user can change the password. Create. Perfect. Now it is created. Guys, I tell you that AWS knows you because of your 12-digit ID. So this user belongs to which ID? That is written in this URL, right? So I copy this, and if I log in right away here, then my root account login will go away. So I go to the incognito mode where it will not share the session, and I press enter. And then when I press enter, now you are not going to log in as a root ID, rather you are going to root as a normal ID, right? So here, what was the username? Test. And what is the password? A B C D E F. It will force me to change the password right away. See, the old password was A B C D E F, and the new password is I can say A. Why 6 times? That policy is implemented. I cannot go less than 6 characters. Okay. So I click on confirm. No, direct to the user. I have not used the group yet. Shailesh, I have directly assigned to the user, and then I'll show you how to attach to the group also, right? Okay, I have assigned directly to the user. You can also mirror copy. Yes, that answer I have given. So this is first time, because this user login to the first time to the AWS. That's the reason it is giving you this kind of options. What is this? This is search. Okay, next. Right, got it. So here you can see that I go to the, because I have given only EC2 read only, right? So I go to the S3 and check that do I have access of S3 or not. So you can see that loading buckets and saying that you do not have permission, get out. Okay, and I go to the EC2 now. And EC2, I go to the instance, and I click here and try to delete. It is saying you do not have permission, right? Or try to create a new instance. I selected AMI. Next, launch. You are not authorized, right? Security group also failed. So you cannot do that. It is only read-only permission. But this is not the right practice, guys. The right practice is that what you should do, you should not assign permission to the users. Only password change permission, I understand, but this read-only access you should remove from here. That is wrong. You should not directly assign to the permissions to the user. Rather, you go to the group, create a group, let's say my group, my new group. Okay, create. So you have created a group. Now you can assign the policy. Example, I assign the S3 policy. That's all. Next. The group is created. I go inside the group, go to the permissions. This is my permissions. User, I do not have any user. I click on add user. So I have one test user, right? Add. So this user has a permission of full access of S3, but this user does not have any other permission. Now I am inside the user, and this user has a only password change at a first attempt only. So if I go to the good morning Vikas. So if I go to the another user one, I have to log out and log in again, then only I will able to perform this, because the policy I have changed. Now I have created a group, I have attached the policy to the group, and inside group I have added the users. Working model is not going to change. Now I should have a full access of S3, but not read only access of EC2 also, right? So here you can see that I have EC2 S3. Now I click on EC2 and check that do I have only read only access also or not, and it is saying API error, means I do not have any access. And I click here, instance is there, but I cannot see, right? Instance was running, but I do not have permission to delete. But if I go to the S3, earlier I was not able to see anything. Now I can click on that and check that do I have access or not. Now it is showing me all the buckets, right? I click on this one and I empty this, right? And I type permanent delete. Yeah, the data is deleted now. Now I delete the bucket, right? So the bucket is deleted now. See, I have full access, right? So working model is the same, although the assigning of the policies instead of directly user, better you assign to the group. So we talked about group, we talked about policy. I'll not consider as of now. Policy is much more detailed, we have to talk. But we talked about user and group, right? Any question on that?
सर रीड ओनली में जो ऑप्शंस विजिबल है उसको डिसेबल नहीं कर सकते?
जैसे
हमने अभी EC2 रीड ओनली एक्सेस दिया था यूजर को,
हाँ,
तो उसको दिख रहा था, बट ऑप्शंस भी दिख रहे थे उसके एडिशन में.
तो सर एक बात बताइए ना, रीड ओनली का क्या मतलब होता है?
मतलब सिर्फ देख सकता है, बाकी कुछ ऑपरेशन या परफॉर्म नहीं कर सकता.
बस तो सर वही है कि आप देख सकते हो, परफॉर्म नहीं कर सकते, है ना?
ओके.
What if I give to the access to the multiple people at home, right? Yeah, you can add multiple people, right? Kiran, you can add multiple people, right, for the different purposes. For that, there is another process actually. Company do not follow to create. If you have 10, 20, 30, 40 users is fine, but if there are thousands of people, then there is a different process altogether. No, there is no limit of creating the groups, Sally. Okay, so Kiran, to answer your question, I'll come back to this today itself, don't worry, and we'll discuss. Okay, but can we implement that? I don't think so. The reason behind that, a specialized skill is required, and what is that specialized skill, we will talk. Okay, moving to this. So Akshay, can you read this please, the definition of it, IAM and all?
Yes. So IAM is a powerful and flexible web service for controlling access to AWS resources. IAM enables customers to leverage the agility and efficiency of the cloud while maintaining secure control of their organization's AWS infrastructure. IAM is a web service that helps you securely control access to AWS resources. You use IAM to control who is authorized, authenticated, sign in, and authorized has permission to use resources. When you first create an AWS account, you begin with a single sign-in identity that has complete access to all AWS services and resources in the account. This identity is called the AWS account root user and is accessed by signing in with the email address and password that you used to create the account. We strongly recommend that you do not use the root user for your everyday tasks, even the administrative ones.
समझ में आया? So there are two definitions of IAM here, which talks about that what is IAM, and only the limited access should be provided, and it is a services that provides you the control 100% what you can do, what you should not do, right? And the root account, it is accessed by signing and you will get everything access, so strongly recommended you should not use, right? That's what I said earlier. Okay, so IAM is free guys. It is a fine-grained access that you want to give. You can use through mobile or through browser based. You can maintain identity federation. So Kiran, to answer your question, identity federation is a process to update multiple users. Okay, how we will discuss. And we can create users, we can create permissions, or we can manage credentials, right, for the users. So how to create users and all that we have seen, and it is also saying that create user, this one, right? You can create IAM user and you should assign the user to the group, and the permissions should be managed, right? So how to manage permissions? Permission you can define. We have not talked about the permission. I'll hold it for a couple of minutes and we'll come back to this, because permission is the heart. We should devote some time over there. Whenever you assign the credentials to the password, you always make sure that the password that you are offering, you should not keep it, even the admin password should not keep by the admin. It means you should allow the user to change his or her password. Okay, make sure that. And password rotation should be there. Example, in your laptop also, after 3 months or 6 months, the message will come, your password is going to expire, please change that, right? Same thing is should be applicable also here, how long you want to keep the password and all. So temporary security credentials and other things, right? So that should be expirable, your password should be expirable, you should create it. And federated user, what is federation, we'll talk about. So how to create the user, right? You can create the user, so or assign the user to the group. So on the right hand side, if you look into that, you have a account AWS, there you create a group. So let's say admin group, developer group, or test group. So in a admin group, you have EC2 admin, you can create one group. S3 admin, admin means that they have the full access, right, of that particular component. Test developer group, who want just that specific component access where they can do the work, or tester group, and all the user who are joining should be assigned to the particular group that we have seen, right? So how to assign password, or how to assign access key, secret key, we have seen, right? MFA we have seen already. MFA is not mandatory, but it is important. You can control through application programming interface. You can assign the policies to the bucket or to any other component, right? And you can integrate multiple users through the LDAP or Active Directory, and that's what the specialized skill is required, Kiran. because LDAP or Active Directory is a component, or I'll say that access management system. Using that you can define the multiple users. So we'll talk about this. So LDAP full form is Lightweight Active Directory Protocol. Active Directory ADFS, Active Directory File System. Okay, so this is the another one. So there are 10 things that we are going to discuss, or rather couple of them we already discussed. So user we already talked about, group we already talked about, password and all we already talked about, that it should be the password should be root password and all we will more talk about. We have not talked about the password, sorry. MFA we implemented, right, and we talked about root. So root, MFA, group and user we talked about. Okay, any questions so far? So means we can assign policy to the group and user both, and can we create our own policy? Yeah, you can create own policy and you can assign policy to the user or to the group, both. But the practice is wrong. You should not assign to the user. Okay, you should assign the policy to the group. You can create your own policy, yes. Okay, and I go down. Okay, can we apply activation deactivation date of to user? Activation deactivation date, no, there is no such feature over the activation deactivation date. The password expiration you can set up. There is no as such date you can assign. Okay, those are the questions. Okay, so for every component there is a slide that is mentioned here. So user, what is user, right, and how to create the user, that we have already seen. What is group, how to create the group, that we have already seen, right. And let's talk about permissions, right. So permissions is the very important topic, guys. You need please pay attention, right, because permission is everything. Okay, so in permissions basically you give that what you want to access or what you don't want to access, right. So example, the permission is let's talk about this way. So using permission you can give the granular controller less chance of making mistakes, or easy to relax to the easier to relax than the lighten up. Means that you if you have a more permission, there are chances of spoiling the things more, right. If you have less permissions, the chances are very less. So you can define permission through the GUI, and you can define permission through the the policies creation script. I'll not say script, it's not a script actually, it's a, so here the policies are, so there are 600 type policies, rather more. You will not if I scroll down, there are around 800 other more. So they AWS keeps adding, but you will not find 821 in your account. You will find less because I have created many custom in my account. You will not have the customs, right, in your account. So okay, so you will have less. Same, Kiran, both are same, policies and permissions are same. here in AWS. In day-to-day life we call permissions and AWS calls policy. Okay, my instance is running since yesterday. I forgot to delete, so I'm deleting it now. Okay, so these are the policies, guys, and these policies are given by AWS. So if the policies deliver policy, the recommendation is alright, the best process is you should not use directly, because if you use directly and by chance if anything goes wrong, your original policy is gone. So example, if I use it here, EC2, you must be thinking EC2 is a small policy that I got it full access, right? I select this, and if I open this, right, so if I want to give full access, right, so in this case I can use JSON format, and here you can see that it is written scripting. You do not need to this is not complex, simple. I want to give EC2 allow full access, means start, but along with that elastic load balancer also access is being given, CloudWatch access all being given, auto scaling. If you don't want, remove all this, right, from here, just take it out, remove it, but do not do in this policy, rather you create your own policy. So you somebody asked, can we create own policy? Yes, you can create, or rather you can modify this, but I'll not recommend to touch this. You should never touch the deliver policies, right, but you can copy the existing policy. So you can click on this policy, and guys, it's very easy to see, and you can is very easy to modify through the script JSON. But if you go to the GUI mode, there are 277 things that is been added to the EC2. There are 277 things, right? And if you open everyone, then you will get tired. There's so many things are inside that. Okay, so about the EC2 only there are 124, right? And you have to go every individual and then define the access or not. So GUI is more difficult than the scripting one. So let me show you one here clearly. So I again go to the policies, and in policy I select, let's say, EC2 full access again, or I can create my own policy. So when I click on create policy, it is asking me to clone, sorry, my bad, import policies. So in import policy I see EC2 full access. So this is the one. In EC2 full access I selected. It means it is going to import everything whatever is inside this policy, right? And I click on import. So everything is now here. What I want, what I don't want is with me. Let's say in EC2 I don't want to give the access of ELB v2, ELB, CloudWatch, auto scaling, rather IAM action also. So one IAM action is also there, right? I can add the roles. Okay, I don't want, so I want only EC2. So I have modified whatever I want, I kept it, whatever I don't want I removed it. And in EC2, so what all the options or what all the access inside the EC2 I want to give, I open that. Now can you see that there's so many things inside the EC2. Okay, so the thing is that, let's say you want this or you don't want this, choice is with you, right? So if I say enter service manually, I can define whatever I want, or I can select from here, right? I want to take or not. So you can define it from here. You can define manual action if you want to, anything. Example, I want to get the access to list the EC2 instances. I can select from the GUI, right? I don't want to all of them, or I want some. Choices with me. Or I want read only access, I want tagging, I want to write access. No, if I remove this write access, it means it will be equivalent to read only, right? So the thing is that you need to enable the option that you want all or you don't want all. Choice is with you. If you can disable it, and after that you can select whatever you want. I want this, I want this, I want this, and accordingly, right? So it is up to you, right? If I want a full read all of the options, or I want specific options. Get console output, get password data, get reserve instances. So all the options that you want to view, you want to read, write, you can select from here. There are so many options, right? Or you can put the conditions. You can define the ARN, that is by default let it be. I recommend to let it be like this. And here you want to enable MFA or the source IP, means who can access. If I define source IP, only this IP can be accessed to the EC2 instance, read or write, whatever the access that I'll give. No other person can access. Even that guy has a password also, cannot access. This IP guy only can access the my AWS instance. Or I can integrate the MFA. So while login, it will ask the OTP type of or the numbers that is going to come in the Google Authenticator. Then only the person can view, read, or means create the EC2 instance and all. So you can define that. So these conditions you can put it here, right? So if you want to see the script, whatever you are doing, it is written in a script, right? So we have spoiled it. Let's say I import again, and this EC2 read only, EC2 let's say full access again, and I select this, and I go to the JSON, and here the whole script is written. Example, I don't want elastic load balancer to be here. Go here, cut it. I don't want CloudWatch, no problem. So if you go here, you will find that is gone, right? I don't want auto scaling. Go here, remove this. That is gone. So comparatively, this is more easy to the GUI, and you can save it, right? Or if you want to duplicate it of this also, you want to remove it, or this whole policy, let's say you want to duplicate it, click on clone. So you have same as it is. Up to you. You want to keep it or you want to remove it, right? You want to add additional permission here, same. Choose a service. If I click on choose a service, right, what I want, it is up to you. So I want, let's say, S3, right? I selected S3 and S3 full access. I want everything S3. So access analyzer of S3. This policy have, right, options over there. So what I'm trying to say, guys, you have full control of defining the permissions. You have a full control of creating the policies, customize the policies, but strongly recommendation, do not use the delivered policies at all. You should always copy and do that. Okay, you can modify it through the command line, through scripting JSON, or you can do it through GUI. Choices with you. Any question, guys? Anyone? Although I have answered all the questions, but still, if anything. Vikas, any question? Perfect. So here, if I go, right, I'm coming back to this section where we define. So we discuss user, we discuss group, we discuss permissions, we discuss MFA, and we discuss root. Kiran, I have not. You can unmute yourself, Kiran. I have not forced muted. And the positive thing is that everybody is muted, so good. So you can unmute yourself. Yeah, go ahead. I have not done the force muted today. No, there is no way to compare the policy of two users, right?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, just a sec. Let me complete the Ankit question. Ankit, policies are not created based on the user. No, that's what in the first instance I clearly said. You should not create the policy for the user. Rather, you should create the policy attached to the group and attached to the user. So the statement that you mentioned, can we compare the policy for this statement itself is wrong, because you should not create the policy based on the user. Rather, you should create the policy and then you should attach to the group and then you should attach to the user. Okay, so the statement that you mentioned, that is wrong. Industry doesn't work like this. Okay, now go ahead, Kiran.
Yeah, sure. Is it only for Amazon account, correct?
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah. And so, what if I have 200 people in my organization and I'm giving EC2 instance for everyone? Okay. And then for every EC2 instance, I need a username and password.
Every EC2 instance I need
admin. Is there any options like that?
Okay, so let's try to understand what you're trying to say. So this is my AWS account, and these are the users. Let's say 1, 2, 300, and all of them given the access of my AWS accounts, right, of EC2. Okay, go ahead, Kiran.
EC2 only, not an AWS account.
Yeah, that's what EC2. This is EC2 console account. Console EC2 access. Console AWS console access. AWS EC2 console. Okay, that has been given. What else you saying?
So, how we?
Is there a way to compare two policies? It is correct. Yeah, that's the statement is correct. Is there a way to compare two policies? No, you cannot. There is no as such functionality. Deliver functionality is given by AWS. No, there is no way. Right? पॉलिसी का कंपैरिजन कैसे करोगे? मतलब किस पर्पस क्या है, मुझे समझ नहीं आया, अभी भी नहीं समझ आया. वैसे फंक्शनलिटी नहीं है इस तरह का AWS के अंदर, बट फिर भी अगर कुछ स्पेसिफिक दिमाग में है तो बताइए. सॉरी किरण, आई went to another site, so please go ahead.
Yeah. So, I'm just asking, do we have any admin such things that we can manage everyone's EC2 instance whenever their password is not working or something like that?
Your EC2 instance means Linux, right? You are talking
Linux only or Windows machine only. That is, users are working on it.
Sir, you are talking two different things. Here we are talking about the AWS console access or permissions, right?
Yeah.
You are talking about the Linux or Windows. You are talking about the Linux or Windows, right? AWS does not provide any kind of functionality to go into the operating system and manage through the console. Because once you are logged into the Windows or Linux, you are out from the AWS. Okay, and that's the operating system's access permissions you are talking, and those operating system access permissions cannot be managed by AWS console.
And what if the user forgot his password? Then how he is going to manage?
Which one, AWS or Linux?
No, Windows one.
So Windows one, right? तो Windows admin होगा ना सर वहाँ पे, तो Windows administrator जो होगा, right? आप let's say आप AWS पे जाते हो, sorry Windows पे जाते हो, तो you will have administrator password, right? You can create multiple users over there. If somebody forgets the password, you can reset the password of that guy, or the window admin can reset the password of that guy. How come AWS comes here? Right? AWS तो कुछ नहीं करता. It's a Windows application, right? Or Windows operating system or Linux operating system policies. It's not AWS policies. Okay?
Okay, got it.
Okay. And the question is asked by this guy. Policy comparison का नहीं है दोस्त. There is no way that you can compare the policy delivered here. Okay? Ankit? Perfect. So I was talking about this. So 5 things we talked about: user, group, permissions, MFA and root. We also talked about condition. You have seen that while creating the permissions, we have seen conditions. That condition talk about that you can add MFA or you can add IP addresses. Only that person will have a permission to do anything or any conditional thing that using that he can join that particular IP or using MFA. So that condition we also discussed. Now moving to the root. I'm skipping this couple of one and then we'll come back. Yeah, root. Right? So can you read this, Akshay, please?
Remove use of root. Benefits: reduce potential for misuse of credentials.
That's what we talked about, right? कि अगर आप सारे पैसे एक पॉकेट में लेके जाते हो तो there are chances, right? Everything will go away. तो root is the same, right?
Right.
So you should delete the access key. You should implement the MFA and make sure you have a strong password, right?
Right.
So as and when I go to the AWS and click on dashboard, it will give me the message, boss आपके अकाउंट में ना access key enabled है, उसे हटाओ. It is also telling me, boss आपके ना MFA implemented नहीं है, आप MFA implement करो, right? Guys, can you see that, right? It is mentioning over here. Coming here. दोस्त टेल मी, अगर आपने एक ग्रुप बना दिया जिसको EC2 का फुल एक्सेस है, राइट, और S3 का फुल एक्सेस है, वो एडमिन एक्सेस हो गया, राइट? उसी तरीके से इन द सेम फैशन यू क्रिएट अ वन ID who has IAM access, right? Obviously that IAM access will have much more privilege compared to the other EC2 full access or S3 full access, because that guy is able to create the users, right, or groups, right? But compared to the root, or it can be equivalent to the root or it can be less privileged to the root, right? तो अगर लिनक्स में या विंडो में भी बात करें तो हम कभी भी सुपर यूज़र का रूट आईडी नहीं देते, उसके इक्विवेलेंट आईडी बना देते हैं, लेकिन कभी भी हम उसको सुपर यूज़र का आईडी या रूट आईडी नहीं देते. सेम हियर, आप IAM के लिए भी एक यूज़र बना दीजिए शैलेश, ओके, और उसको उसमें भी आप थोड़ा डिफाइन कर दीजिए कि उसको कहीं रिस्ट्रिक्ट करना है कि नहीं करना. मतलब कैन ही क्रिएट द एडमिन एक्सेस और ही कैन क्रिएट द नॉर्मल एक्सेस, राइट? और इट इज़ अप टू यू. और यू कैन डिफाइन कि बॉस वो रूट आईडी को मॉडिफाई कर सकता है कि नहीं कर सकता. आर यू गेटिंग इट? तो रूट आईडी का मॉडिफिकेशन उससे हटा दीजिए. तो आप उसको ग्रुप और यूज़र क्रिएट करना और पॉलिसी मॉडिफिकेशन का एक्सेस तो दे रहे हो, लेकिन वो रूट आईडी को टच नहीं कर सकता. दैट काइंड ऑफ एक्सेस यू कैन गिव, राइट? आर यू गेटिंग इट? सो येस, यू कैन गिव इक्विवेलेंट टू द रूट आईडी ऑल्सो, बट रूट आईडी स्पेसिफिकली नो. मतलब जब बिल्कुल ही, मतलब इफ एवरीथिंग हैज़ बीन टेस्टेड एंड नथिंग इज वर्किंग आउट, then on the exceptional base root ID should come into the picture. You got it, Shalish, now? You can create this question was asked by Kiran, I believe, Ankit. There is no such limit. You can create as many as, or I never seen or heard anywhere any limitation. Okay, so this is about the root, guys. So you should avoid using root. Okay, so moving on. So let's talk about roles. That is again very important. What is role? Akshay, what is role?
Role is something that person should perform.
But here the different thing is there, right? Different role is not the same that we work on the day-to-day basis. Role is different here. In AWS, role functionality is different.
Okay.
There are two types of things that normally nowadays the things are. One, the things can be done by humans. The one that we are talking now. Okay, the one that we are talking now, right? That you are signing the group, you are signing the policies, you are creating the users, and we humans are doing the things, right? The another type of thing that is nothing but the machines. You are giving the same kind of permission to the machine, and machine is doing the things on your behalf. Okay.
Right.
So here, let's say I want to copy the data from the EC2 to the S3, right? So, or I want to access S3, right? In that case, I need to give a permission to the EC2 instance that it can access the S3, right? So EC2 can access S3 data, right? That permission you need to give it to the EC2, and if you run the command after that, it will list everything from the S3. Okay.
Okay.
Can one AWS account have two user ID? What does it mean, Kiran? रूट नहीं होता, इक्विवेलेंट टू रूट होता है यार. किरण दो नहीं हो सकते, किरण के टाइप के दो हो सकते हैं. आप समझ रहे हो? तो अगर आपके जैसा डुप्लीकेट भी कोई आया ना तो उसे डुप्लीकेट बोलेंगे, किरण का डुप्लीकेट. किरण नहीं बोलेंगे, राइट? इक्विवेलेंट टू रूट, नॉट रूट. यू अंडरस्टूड किरण? आप इक्विवेलेंट टू रूट बना लीजिए, बट रूट नहीं हो सकता. लिनक्स में भी सूडो यूजर बोलते हैं, राइट? सुपर यूजर. सुपर यूजर का जो इक्विवेलेंट जो है वो सूडो यूजर, बट नॉट अ रूट यूजर. विंडो में एडमिनिस्ट्रेटर एक ही हो सकता है, एडमिनिस्ट्रेटर टाइप के बहुत सारे हो सकते हैं, मतलब सिर्फ इक्विवेलेंट टू एडमिनिस्ट्रेटर एक्सेस है. इस लैपटॉप पे मुझे फुल एक्सेस है, मैं किसी और का यूजर भी बना सकता हूँ फुल एक्सेस, बट उसका नाम अजय नहीं होगा ना, उसका नाम अजय 1, अजय 2, अजय 3 होगा. तो इक्विवेलेंट टू द एडमिन एक्सेस. ओके. So the role is giving you the functionality to give the permission to the machine so that it can perform on your behalf and get the access of the other component. Means talk, one component can talk to the another component. Okay. So here roles. Can you read it, please, Akshay?
Yes. I use IAM roles for EC2 instance. Benefits: easy to manage access key on EC2 instances. Automatic key rotation. Assign least privilege to the application. And AWS SDK fully integrated.
So example, you can access S3 from EC2, right? For that, what you have to do, you go to the role, create role, example, I create a role, and this role, right, this is the common use case EC2, and I want to access S3. I want to access S3. In S3, right? So S3 तो करना चाहता हूँ, बट S3 की कौन से परमिशंस? मुझे फुल एक्सेस चाहिए S3 का और रीड ओनली एक्सेस चाहिए, राइट? I define here, and next it will be ready. Nothing else you have to do. Simple, the way that you assign the policy to the user or group, same thing. And the, let's say example, my test role, I created a test role, right? Let's say test role. In this test role, I have given access of full EC2 access, right? So this role I can assign to the EC2. How? I go here, and I click on EC2 instance, and I go to here role. In role I select test. So this EC2 will have a access of S3, but उसको access करने के लिए इस EC2 पे जाके आपको CLI setup करना पड़ेगा, and then you need to run command, right? So CLI is important. So you can see that here you can run the below. Let's say you want to list all the bucket, so you need to write AWS S3 ls. You want to create bucket, you need to write S3 MB. MB means make bucket, S3 :/ bucket name. You want to remove bucket, S3 RB : bucket. But to do that, you need a CLI on your AWS you need to CLI on your instance. If you are taking AWS instance, Amazon EC2, no need to install CLI. In that, by default the CLI will come. Okay, by default CLI will come. Okay. So somebody asking question. When we clone the function, means in permission, right? Function means what? Permission cloning, right? We are cloning, duplicating, right? The one that you have seen Deepali in permission only, that you are talking about, right? So you can clone it, right? You want to duplicate it, whatever you want. So guys, this is CLI we already talked about in the past, and how you can assign this and you can access EC2. This is the way you can allow EC2 to access S3. So going back to the IAM, yeah. So here in the policy, right, I can create policy and I can clone it, right? If I want to clone, let's say I created a policy, right? I want to segregate it, right? I'm getting confused because of so many options. Example, if I choose a service, or I copy the policy from the existing one. Let's say I did import, and this time I say S3 full access. And now you can see that there are multiple options over here, right? S3, and if I go to the S3 options, right, and
and I go to the manual. So there are multiple options here, right? I want all. No, I don't want all. I want to list few functions, and I want to keep it this much only here, right? Otherwise I get confused because there are so many options are there. So what I do, I close this, create a clone. Now the clone is created. In this I will not select whatever I selected above, right? I will not select it whatever I select above, right? I will select whatever I want, another one, right? Example in S3 or right here, whatever the component I want I will select, or whatever I don't want I don't want to select. Whatever the component that I want more, example earlier I selected from the list, now I select from the read. So it is good, it is easy for me. I want all read, or I want, let's say I want all read. So in this section I have read only, although in this section I have list bucket option, not the read. Now tomorrow if I come back here, and then it is easy for me to work, right? So this section is for this purpose, this section is for this purpose, right? I can easily see that there are 3 actions, there are 51 actions. So for me it is easy working compared to the put everything in a one place. That is the reason we clone. Okay, understood, Deepika? Yeah. So this is role, guys, and that's what is very important factor to understand. So we talked about permission, user, role, or group, root, right, and conditions, right? That's what we talked about. Let's talk about the password policies, right? So if I go here, go to the dashboard, and the dashboard something is mentioned here, right? So I want Akshay to read this. This is very important, rather best practices, right? Some of the best practices in my document also written, rather many written. So can you read it, Akshay, now slowly?
Yes. First one is grant least privilege access. Establishing a principle of least privilege ensures that identity are only permitted to perform the most minimal set of functions necessary to fulfill a specific task, while balancing usability and efficiency. Second one is use AWS organizations. Centrally manage and govern your environment as you scale your AWS resources. Easily create new AWS account, group accounts to organize your workflow, and apply policies to accounts or group for governance. Third one is enable identity federation.
We had not talked about it, so just wait. Okay, next please.
Enable MFA. For extra security, we recommend that you require multi-factor authentication for all users. Rotate credential regularly. Change your own passwords and access key regularly, and make sure that all users in your account do as well. And last one is enable IAM Access Analyzer. Enable IAM Access Analyzer to analyze public, cross account, and cross organization access.
So here can we know which user is not using or using role assigned to him? रोल नहीं असाइन करता है यूज़र को सर, रोल असाइन करते हैं कंपोनेंट्स को. दिस वे वी कैन फाइंड ट्यून सिक्योरिटी. या सिक्योरिटी एडवाइजर में आएगा और ट्रस्टेड एडवाइजर में रिपोर्ट आएगा ना इसका. यस्टरडे वी लर्न ट्रस्टेड एडवाइजर, राइट? आपने राइट कोई पॉलिसी बनाई लेकिन अटैच ही नहीं करी किसी को, राइट? आप समझ रहे हैं? वो सब आएगा उसमें. तो ट्रस्टेड एडवाइजर यस्टरडे वी लर्न ना, विल गेट इट. Okay, so okay, I go to the account setting, right? And password policy, I can click on the change. And now here the password policy is there, right? Here the password policy is there. So you can modify it, you can change it. So by default now AWS mandated 6-character password should by default be there. I cannot change. So let's say you want your password to be 8-character. It should be alphanumeric. At least one number should be there. After 3 months, it should it should expire. Password expiration, right? That's what we learned also in the best practices. After 3 months, it can change, or 4 months or 6 months you can define. Alphanumeric or a special character you should add in your password. At least one number should be there. Administrator, once your password is expired, administrator should reset it instead of you, right? You can change your password your own or prevent reuse. आप वापस same password use नहीं कर सकते. So you define all the password policy over here. But Akshay, let's say, can you do this example? The password 6-character with a special 6 letter with the special character is only for 10 users, and the remaining 100 users should not apply to this policy. आपकी कंपनी में ऐसा होता है कि आपका पासवर्ड एक्सपायर हो रहा है 3 महीने बाद और आपके फ्रेंड का नहीं हो रहा है?
नहीं सर.
तो ये पासवर्ड पॉलिसी जेनरिक है. पासवर्ड पॉलिसी कैन नॉट बी द यूजर स्पेसिफिक. रिमेंबर इट. ओके.
Right.
So password policies are not user specific. It's very important to understand. Okay. So that is nothing but password expiration or rotation. That is also written here. Means password should keep changing, right? You should not use continuously the same password. Okay. So let's talk about the sharing now. So Akshay, let's say
Yes.
अक्षय की शादी हो रही है. Let's say you are getting married and you need a 1 month holiday, right? And I am going to work on your behalf. Okay.
Right.
So in AWS, so give me your user ID password, I will do that. Right?
Right.
And you are on leave, and what I do, I screwed up everything and say that I have not done.
Okay.
What will you do then? This is not a right process that you share your user ID password with me, right?
Right.
You should not
Right.
share. Rather, you should create equivalent to your ID in the system and give it to me.
Right.
Understood? So you understood sharing now, right? Sharing is, guys, that you should not share your user ID password. Does not matter your boss and all. You should create equivalent ID and then give it to the person, and the person should able to use it. So if tomorrow anything goes wrong, the person can easily identify who made the changes.
Right. So basically it will show that on behalf of me that person worked on the particular task.
Can we know which user is not using or using the role assigned? तो हो गया था ना. कस्टम पॉलिसीज नहीं है यार, जो यहाँ पे डिफाइंड है ना वही है. खुद की पॉलिसी नहीं बना. आप कस्टम कर सकते हो ना. यहाँ पे वो दे रहा है ना ऑप्शन आपको कि आप यहाँ पे चेंज कर लीजिए, राइट? यहाँ पे बोल रहा है ना आपको अल्फा न्यूमेरिक रखना है, अल्फा न्यूमेरिक रख लो. पासवर्ड एक्सपायरेशन 90 डेज की जगह 100 डेज कर लो, राइट? आप यहाँ पे एटलीस्ट 1 नंबर आप खुद से कस्टम कर सकते हो ना. कस्टम पॉलिसी मीन्स व्हाट? आप कोड लिखना चाहते हो क्या खुद का? No, I'm not getting your question. Is there any copy user profile option? Yes, you can copy users. कर सकते हो आप, राइट? अगर आप यूजर्स कॉपी नहीं कर सकते, पॉलिसीज कॉपी कर सकते हो, राइट? तो यहाँ पे जब पॉलिसी असाइन करते हो यूजर क्रिएट करने के बाद, तो जब आप नेक्स्ट करते हो तो यहाँ से देखो कॉपी परमिशन फ्रॉम द एग्जिस्टिंग यूज़र, तो किसी यूज़र में ऑलरेडी अगर पॉलिसी असाइन है तो उसको आप कॉपी कर सकते हो, यूज़र कॉपी नहीं कर सकते। ओके, तो किसी यूज़र को अगर कोई पॉलिसी असाइन है तो उसको कॉपी कर सकते हो। राइट, सो वी टॉक्ड अबाउट ऑलमोस्ट ऑल यूज़र, ग्रुप, परमिशन, पासवर्ड, MFA, रोल, शेयरिंग, रोटेशन, कंडीशन एंड रूट। एनी क्वेश्चन, एनीवन?
सर शेयरिंग का एक डेमो हो सकता है क्या?
शेयरिंग का डेमो मतलब, मैं तो शेयरिंग का डेमो तो सिंपल है ना। डेमो क्या है उसमें, आप जैसे आपका यूज़र क्रिएट आपका है, सेम एक और आईडी बना दिया मेरा और मुझे दे दिया एक्सेस,
राइट,
तो वही तो करना है उसमें।
अच्छा उसमें सिर्फ नाम चेंज होगा।
आई एम सॉरी, या तो लेट्स से आपको यहाँ पे जाके S3 परमिशन का एक्सेस था, लेट्स से टेस्ट यूज़र आप हो, इसके अंदर जाके मैंने देखा इसको कौन सी पॉलिसी असाइन है, तो मैंने देखा उसको चेंज पासवर्ड की पॉलिसी असाइन है, उसको कौन सा ग्रुप असाइंड है, इस ग्रुप की एक्सेस मैंने इसे भी दे दी। तो मैं टेस्ट 1 यूज़र बनाता हूँ, यहाँ पे यूज़र जाता हूँ, टेस्ट 1 यूज़र बनाया, उसको कंसोल का पासवर्ड दिया, पासवर्ड तो कुछ भी हो सकता है,
राइट,
और उसको मैंने ये पॉलिसी थी, ये पॉलिसी दे दी। ओके, उस पॉलिसी के बाद वो जो आप जो पहले वाला यूज़र था उसको इस ग्रुप में, कौन से ग्रुप में असाइन करना है, ये ग्रुप था, इस ग्रुप में असाइन कर दिया मैंने, तो मैं इक्विवेलेंट आपके बन गया ना।
ओके,
राइट, तो आपको शेयर नहीं करना है। शेयरिंग मीन्स बेस्ट प्रैक्टिस। बेस्ट प्रैक्टिस ये है कि आपको शेयर नहीं करना है, आपको रादर क्रिएट करना है सिस्टम में और इसको यूज़ करना है।
राइट, गॉट इट सर।
ओके, दैट इज इम्पोर्टेंट। नाउ किरण,
क्वेश्चन डाउट था।
हाँ बोलो ना।
अंकित सर, actually like we have created 2 users and both have issued to full access, तो ऐसा पॉसिबल है क्या? हम लोगों ने 2 इश्यू टू इंस्टेंस क्रिएट किए, बट लाइक सर्वर 1 और सर्वर 2, बट ईच यूजर लाइक जो भी 2 यूजर्स है, उनके पास दोनों भी फुल एक्सेस इश्यू टू का, लेकिन वो किसी एक सर्वर को ही एक्सेस कर पाएंगे।
आप खुद के स्टेटमेंट को क्यों कॉन्ट्राडिक्ट कर रहे हो दोस्त? आप खुद बोल रहे हो फुल एक्सेस है, फिर बोल रहे हो कि एक को एक्सेस कर सकेंगे।
नहीं, बट सर्वर स्पेसिफिक हो सकता है।
नहीं, सर्वर स्पेसिफिक नहीं हुआ ना सर, फिर ये मत बोलो कि फुल एक्सेस है, या तो बोलो कंडीशनल एक्सेस है कि यूजर 1 बनाया उसको सर्वर 1 का एक्सेस है, दूसरे यूजर को सर्वर 2 का एक्सेस है। व्हाई यू आर सेइंग कि फुल एक्सेस है? फुल एक्सेस का मतलब क्या होता है? फुल एक्सेस का मतलब ही कैन डू एनीथिंग।
तो पॉलिसीज में वो सर्वर स्पेसिफिक कंडीशन डाल सकते हो?
एब्सोल्युटली डाल सकते हो सर, आप बिल्कुल। लेट्स एग्जांपल, मुझे एक सर्वर का एक्सेस देना है किरण को कि किरण कैन स्टार्ट स्टॉप, राइट। अनदर पर्सन को देना है, राइट, सर्वर 1 का एक्सेस मैंने किरण को दे दिया, सर्वर 2 का एक्सेस मुझे अक्षय को देना है, अक्षय कैन ओनली स्टार्ट स्टॉप। कैन आई डू दैट? यस, इट विल कम इन अ कंडीशन, राइट। तो आपके पीपीटी में भी ये लिखा हुआ है एग्जाम्पल के साथ, राइट। अगर आप इसमें देखेंगे, ये देखिए, ये जो यूज़र है, राइट, यहाँ पे जो यूज़र बनाया मैंने, राइट, इस यूज़र को कंडीशन डाला हुआ है, राइट। ये यूज़र जो है, दिस यूज़र हैज़ अ रूट प्रिविलेज, अनदर रिसोर्सेज, दिस यूज़र हैज़ अ एक्सेस ऑफ क्यू ओनली, द अनदर यूज़र इज बॉब, बॉब को बकेट एक्सेस है, राइट। अगर मैं दूसरी कंडीशन पे जाता हूँ तो यहाँ पे जो कंडीशंस हैं, यहाँ पे इसको S3 का एक्सेस है फुल, जिसमें वो लिस्ट कर सकता है, गेट कर सकता है, एवरीथिंग कर सकता है, राइट। ओके, तो यहाँ पे आप डिफाइन कर सकते हैं बॉस कि आपको क्या एक्सेस चाहिए। तो आप डिफाइन कर दीजिए कि आपको स्टार्ट स्टॉप करने का एक्सेस चाहिए पर्टिकुलर यूज़र के लिए, तो यहाँ पे यूज़र का नेम डाल दीजिए और उसको वही पॉलिसी असाइन करिए, राइट, स्टार्ट की, स्टॉप की, जो भी आपको करना है। तो आप यूज़र, अब ये मत बोलिए कि फुल एक्सेस है, फुल का मतलब तो सब कुछ होता है, आप बोलिए कंडीशनल एक्सेस चाहिए।
मुझे कंडीशन डाल पाएंगे इसलिए।
नहीं, कंडीशन तो फुल नहीं रह गया ना, फिर वो कंडीशनल हो गया, राइट। Okay. Now coming back to the question that is asked by Kiran, how we can create multiple users or how we can integrate the existing company system to the AWS. And this can be done through federation. This can be done through federation. On the left hand side, the option is called identity provider. In this identity provider, you can use this for the single sign-on. Single sign-on, do you know guys what is single sign-on?
Yes.
Anyone else?
So with single credential we can log into multiple sites.
हाँ, जैसे आपकी कंपनी के अंदर when you log into your laptop, तो कंपनी के there are multiple websites, right? Let's say आपकी सैलरी की वेबसाइट या आपके कंपनी का पोर्टल या एम्प्लॉय रिक्रूटमेंट पोर्टल, आपको बार बार यूजर आईडी पासवर्ड नहीं डालना, सेम चल जाता है, राइट? ऑटोमेटिकली वहाँ पे, राइट? वो क्यों चलता है? क्योंकि वहाँ पे सिंगल साइन ऑन है, इम्प्लीमेंटेड है. तो कैन वी इम्प्लीमेंट हेयर इन द AWS ऑल्सो, बट प्रॉब्लम है कि कैसे होता है, राइट? एग्जाम्पल, let's say Akshay, you got a laptop from the company, right?
Yes.
And the laptop that you got it from the company, you can log into the laptop and think that you are the super user, you can do anything on the system, but that is wrong, right? Anytime जो वहाँ पे बैठा हुआ है बंदा, एडमिनिस्ट्रेटर, राइट? एडमिनिस्ट्रेटर जो आपका कंपनी का जो मेंटेन कर रहा है, वो ऑल आर ज्वाइन द कंपनी. What kind of profile they joined, right? If it is a senior manager, if it is a kind of a VP, they should have different type of access. If you join as a SC or senior SSC, then you have different kind of access, right?
Right.
So they define the different policies. They are defining the user, right, in a centralized repository, right? And from there they are mapping those system to your laptop. And first time when you get the laptop, what they say, do one thing, connect to the LAN and then make it sync, right?
Right.
So that you can set up and the permission is given should be aligned. Okay, that is good. Now let's say those in your company there are 5,000 users, all of them are created into the company system, right?
Right.
Now out of these 5,000 you want 1,000 to add into the AWS. Okay. So the thing is that you have to, in that centralized repository that is managed by the person, right, has to create a separate folder or another section in the centralized repository, right, in which he is managing, because only those users should come to the AWS. Make sense?
Yes.
And that thing is called organization unit, OU, in the centralized repository. Okay.
Okay.
People are asking questions. Okay, it's a generic. Got it. So here in this diagram, if you look into that is called corporate identity store. This is called corporate identity store. Okay, here all the users are there, and in this corporate identity store you created a separate section or folder where all the 1,000 users which you want to give the access can be added to that. Okay, now those users needs to be added to the AWS, correct? For that you need to implement SSO or LDAP, single sign-on, or LDAP, lightweight active directory protocol. Okay.
Right.
Can we do that? No, because this is not AWS, that is another area altogether. Okay. So if you put in a Google, you will find something related to the LDAP or related to the S3. SSO. For that you need a special knowledge and to implement that, right? So that integration can be done by this guy who is maintaining the corporate identity store. Okay, so that guy will created the things and all and give you the file. And there are two types of option that will be available in the AWS, right? If I create it, then I need to add the provider, and the provider, there are two options, SAML or OpenID, and that you will get the knowledge if you know LDAP or SSO, right? So your company person will tell that I have generated the SAML file, do one thing, you can import. So that file will give it to you, you can give the name and you can import, that's all. Add provider, you have to do this much only, rest all that person will do. So that is been mentioned, and this way it will add it to your AWS, right? So the user those are created into your company will be mapped to the AWS. That is one. But let's say those are mapped to the AWS. But the problem is that once somebody logins, how he or she gets the access of AWS. That's what this diagram depicts. So in this diagram, let's say you are a user, you are logged into the company portal or AWS. Let's say you are logged into the AWS. So it will not go because it is integrated with the company identity store or the centralized repository where the users are maintained. So it will go to the identity broker, right? That is managed by the company. And from the identity broker, right? In this identity broker, the user ID, user password, right? It is stored here. This guy go to the identity store and check that this user exists or not. Only existence it checks. Okay. If the user exists in the centralized repository, it checks here. If the user is there or not there, it go back to the identity broker and right away reject if the user is not there. AWS में तो भूल जाओ, वैसे लॉगिन नहीं कर पाएगा. अगर यूजर एग्जिस्ट करता है तो वापस इंफॉर्मेशन आएगी, ये इंफॉर्मेशन आइडेंटिटी ब्रोकर में आएगी. वो इंफॉर्मेशन एक टोकन जनरेट करेगा, राइट? एक टोकन सिंपल टोकन सर्विस एक टोकन जनरेट होगा. दैट टोकन विल हैव द इंफॉर्मेशन ऑफ यूजर आईडी, पासवर्ड एंड व्हाट टाइम ही इज लॉग इन, right? In which section it belongs to, right? And that information वापस identity broker में आएगी, ब्राउजर पे वापस जाएगी और उसके जाने के बाद it will come to the AWS console. And in AWS console it will define the group, in which group the user is added or the permission directly given to the user. Accordingly he will log into the system. So if this user is belong to the EC2 full access, that guy will only have the EC2 full access. If this guy belongs to the group of S3 full access, this guy will only have S3 full access or access to all the components, depends, right? So this is the way the authentication mechanism works, right? Kiran, hope I answered your question now, the one that you asked very initial stage. That was advanced question, so I hold it for now. Anybody, any question? So guys, you are not going to implement directly, rather this person will implement. You will create only group and users and import the file that is given by this guy. Okay, this is called federation. Okay, now coming back to the best practices. So Kiran, can you please read this? Some best practices, although we already talked about many, but you quickly read it, right? Those are self-explanatory, but I want you to read.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Log away your AWS account to user access keys. Use an access key and access key ID and the set access key. programmatic request to AWS. However, do not use your AWS account root user access key. The access key for your AWS account gives you full access to all your resources for all AWS services, including your billing information. You cannot restrict the permissions associated with your AWS account access key. Therefore, protect your AWS account access key like you would your credit card numbers or any other. I'm not able to see that one.
Just a second. Yeah.
Any sensitive secret. Here are some ways to do that. If you don't already have an access key for your AWS account, don't create one unless you absolutely need it. If you do have an access key for your AWS account, delete it. If you must keep it, rotate, change the access key regularly. Never share your AWS account password or access keys with anyone.
किरण थोड़ा सा loud पढ़ो यार.
I'm sorry.
Speak little louder.
Okay. Never share your AWS account password or access keys with anyone. Use a strong password to help protect account level access to the AWS management console. Enables AWS multi-factor authentication (MFA) on your AWS account. Done.
Yeah. Guys, if any question, please shout. Okay. These are self-explanatory. We talked about. That's the reason I am not going through. Please continue.
Create individual AIM users. Don't use your AWS account root user's credential to access AWS, and don't give your credentials to anyone else. Instead, create individual users for anyone who needs access to your AWS account. Create an AIM user for yourself as well. Give that user administrative privilege and use that IAM user for all your work. Use AWS defined policies to assign permissions whenever possible. Use the managed policies that are created and maintained by AWS to grant permissions whenever possible. A key advantage of using these policies is that they are maintained and updated by AWS as new services or new APIs are introduced. AWS managed policies are designed to support common tasks. They typically provide access to a single service or a limited set of actions.
Any question on this, guys? Please continue.
Use groups to assign permissions to IAM users. Instead of defining permissions for individual IAM users, it's usually more convenient to create groups that relate to job functions, administrative developers, accounting, etc. Next, define the relevant permissions for each group. Finally, assign IAM users to those groups. All the users in an IAM group inherit the permissions assigned to the group. That way, you can make changes to everyone in a group in just one place. Grant list privilege. When you create IAM policies, follow the standard security advice of granting list privilege. That is, granting only the permissions required to perform a task. Determine what users need to do and then craft policies for them that let the users perform only those tasks. Start with a minimum set of permissions and grant additional permissions as necessary. Doing so is more secure than starting with permissions that are too lenient and then trying to tighten them later. One feature that can help with this is the Access Advisor tab. This tab is available on the IAM console details page whenever you inspect a user, group, role or policy. The tab includes information about which services are actually used by a user, group, control or by anyone that uses a policy. You can use this information to identify unnecessary permissions so that you can refine your IAM policies to better adhere to the principle. Please scroll down or scroll up.
टू द प्रिंसिपल ऑफ लीस्ट प्रिविलेज. सो यहाँ पे जो है ना, अगर आप यहाँ पे जाओगे तो यहाँ पे आपको एक्सेस रिपोर्ट, राइट, इट टॉक्स अबाउट दैट कि बॉस आपकी जो क्रेडेंशियल रिपोर्ट है, कितने यूज़र्स हैं, क्या हैं, आप रिपोर्ट निकाल सकते हो उस यहाँ से, राइट. कल को कोई ऑडिट करने आएगा, वो हैज़ एंड वांट टू नो दैट who has access, what type of access and all this, because it's critical, right? So you can download the report. Okay, it's taking time. So you can click the button to download the account, user and their status, various credentials. The report will generate. Okay, saying that could not report. From where you can download the report. Okay, continue please.
Configure a strong password policy for your users. If you allow users to change their own passwords, require that they create strong passwords and that they rotate their passwords periodically. You can use the password policy to define password requirements, such as minimum length, whatever, whether it requires non-alphabetic characters, how frequently it must be rotated, and so on. Enable MFA for privileged users. For extra security, enable multi-factor authentication MFA for privileged IAM users. Users who are allowed access to sensitive resources or APIs. With MFA, users have a device that generates a unique authentication code, one-time OTP. Users must provide both their normal credentials like their username and password and the OTP. Delegate by using roles instead of by sharing credentials. You might need to allow users from another AWS account to access resources in your AWS account. If so, don't share security credentials such as access keys between accounts. Instead, use IAM roles. You can define a role that specifies what permissions the IAM users in the other account are allowed. You can also assign which AWS account have the IAM users that are allowed to assume the roles. Done.
Yeah, so that's what we already discussed, guys. Nothing as such that new is here, only the best practices, right? Use role for the EC2, that we already talked about and shown you how to assign that also, right? So federating existing user, that's what we talked about the federation. Or you can create a multiple accounts AWS you can have. So you should create the multiple AWS account for the different purpose, not necessary that you manage the one account, right? Why? Because let's say you are running one project, so that project and the another project should have the different accounts, right? So that you can maintain the security, you can maintain the policies, right? That is very important. Otherwise, if one customer you are using same account, if anything goes wrong, it will impact the another customer also. So you can learn this, determine who has the access to the resources that we already talked about, who control the user, writing the critical policy. Try this, and you can, these are the assignment that most of them we already done. You can refer these YouTube videos and all if you want to learn, and the links that is being given. That is all. Okay, this is all about IAM.